I'd call this regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners to order. Today's date is February 2nd, 2026. Joanne, would you please call the roll?
Sure. Commissioner Ernst,
Here.
Commissioner Engel,
Here.
Commissioner Rollins,
Here.
Commissioner Vogelsang,
Here.
Commissioner Wright.
Here.
Commissioners, any changes to the agenda today? Hearing none, I'll move to public request. At this point on the agenda, members of the public who wish to address the commission, please do so. Come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes.
Hello, Robert Duquette, 5351 Northwest 3rd Terrace. I have a few questions about North Park. I was surprised to find out that there has been a new RFP issued, and I guess most of that was done on files that I was barely able to open up online, dated January 12th or so. Have all the commissioners been able to open up the files and actually read the new site plan that's being proposed? I know that one of the things that I have seen on the in the media was that it shows the skate park about 300 feet away from condos, not my personal residence, but condos in the area. And based upon what I had seen on the proposed site plan, I did not see that.
Robert, you were not here last meeting, were you?
I was here
Okay.
at the beginning of the meeting.
Okay. Well, the site plan that we're looking at was just show the proposed location of the skate park, and it was adjacent to the railroad tracks, just south of the pickleball complex.
Right. No, I recognize that,
Yeah.
but there's actually a map on a PDF, I think, that is available.
I think I can
Online.
clarify that the project that's bid out does not include the skate park because that design was just approved. The conceptual design was just approved at the last meeting. So now we get those construction documents together. We go through the site plan with the city, and that would get added on later. But the project that's out to bid right now is the park elements.
Okay. So the PDF that I saw then with the site plan, that included the mountain bike course also. Is that all still on there?
Yes.
Okay. Because I noticed that the mountain bike, unfortunately, gets cut off by the Jeffrey Street, and the tunnel is at the west side of the property. So how are the mountain bikers going to get from the east?
There's going to be a connection to the tunnel.
There will be?
Yes.
And will the tunnel be closed at night? Will it be
And
monitored?
the entire park will be closed at night.
Well, you have the, but you have the,
You can only access the tunnel inside the park, and
right,
the park will be closed off.
but the pickleball facility will not be closed.
Well, but the park will, so people won't be able to access the tunnel at nighttime. And the pickleball facility does close at night.
Well, they close at 9 or 10 or whatever.
Right. Well, the
time.
park will close then too.
Okay. Okay, that answers those questions. But I know that the files that I saw that were online, most of them are difficult to open. And I think that, again, like I said, the media reports I saw showed that the skate park was going to be 300 feet away from condos. Looks more like about 100 feet.
The measurement is 300 feet. That's accurate.
From the property line?
From the condo property line, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
My name is Michael J. Schneider. Yeah, oh, okay, start the clock. My name is Michael J. Schneider. I'm at 5500 Northwest 2nd Avenue, Boca Raton, Condo 3. I'm not enthralled by having the skate park nearby, all right? I feel the best place to put it would be Spanish River Park. The old skate park, you got park, library, school. By putting it in Spanish River Park, you got park, library, school. It's not near many homes and everything else. I think that would be the best place to put it. We're interested more in our area, golf. Golf, that's what we want. We want an 18-hole course, and that's about the size of it there. Also, there was another issue that came up about a couple of weeks ago. Oh yeah, another reason why I don't want, there's not many passes that are sold for this thing. So other areas, West Palm, Delray haven't been too successful with their skate park, all right? We rather have it, if you want it, put it at Spanish River Park. You got a park, library, and school set up for you, like you did in the downtown area. There's one other thing I'd like to discuss. The state senator came up about property taxes, and all of you were really, not interrogating him, but asking, if the property taxes go, where's the money going to come from? The sky? It has to come from people. Now, if you take away the property taxes, the school, school, libraries, police, firemen, you call them, where are they going to be? There's no money, all right? It's nice to cut taxes, but you can't cut all of them, all right? If you cut all of them, then you end up with a state income tax. Oh, we'll really love that, all right? We had it place in New Jersey where basically, they lowered the state income tax 1%. The property taxes shot up through the roof, 10, 20 grand per homeowner. So you don't want that. So basically, on the state senator, you would ask her, you talk about these things that you find. I would ask her, is it blue? If they're just auditing the blue districts, do the red ones too. All right. I mean, it's only fair. All right. So that's basically it. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Stay
Mr. Snyder.
warm.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening. My name is Henry Dirksen. I live at 2220 Northwest 39th Drive here in Boca Raton, 33431. Full disclosure, I'm a member of the Mill Pond Homeowners Association Board. I'm not here in that capacity tonight. I'm just here as a homeowner living in Mill Pond. My question for the board is, and I haven't been part of any of these discussions. I didn't really know anything about the pickleball facility until it opened up in November, when I began to hear it on a daily basis. I live about 1,000 feet away from that facility. And it's nonstop from 7:30 till 10 o'clock at night, pick-pock, Christmas morning, 8:45, pick-pock. I've got lots of video from in front of my house, behind my house, around my house. My immediate neighbors and I, we're not happy about all the noise. So I'm curious what has been done or what plans are in place to address all of the sound and the noise coming out of that facility and affecting the adjacent properties.
May I?
Yes.
Thank you. So when we first built that facility, there used to be a lot of vegetation out there. And when we constructed that, the city required us to remove a ton of vegetation, and that obviously opened it up to a lot of, it was a nice sound barrier that was there. It's no longer there. So we're in the process of replanting a lot of that vegetation that was originally asked to be removed. This is a slow process, but we are working with our contractor out there to address some different things that we can do to prevent the noise from traveling so far. They're going to probably come back maybe at the next meeting or the meeting after that. We would have those proposals for the board to consider some sound barriers added on there.
Do you have
So we
any
are-
idea what kind of sound barriers they're talking about?
We're looking at different options. So I don't have options tonight where they're giving us several different options, but it is something that we're working on
Okay.
to mitigate. And in the meanwhile, the vegetation is getting planted out there.
Yeah, I mean, you
Which will help
physically
somewhat.
relocated them, 15 courts a lot closer to the west side.
Mhm.
Before they were next to the cemetery and St. John Paul II. So, just proximity, that affects it as well. I have a background in civil planning. I've spent a year at Babcock Ranch overseeing their 6 million square feet of civic, commercial, industrial space and designing and developing. I would not have put a covered facility in that configuration next to $1 million homes because the roof on that amplifies the sound coming out of it. So I'm looking forward to hearing about what's being suggested, and hopefully it'll be successful. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Art Turple, 19155 Fairlawn Way, Boca Raton. On the agenda tonight is the covered roof at Sugar Sand. I want to thank the commissioners and I want to thank the staff, because this is a project that we've looked at now for several years. And, we had a little bit of a hiccup, I'll call it, when the first iteration of it came in quite a bit over what we thought the cost would be. And, it was a beautiful facility. But hey, it was just not realistic. I think the users, and I can speak for the soccer program, and I think I can speak for basketball and for the hockey people. We really, we want to keep the sun off our head and the rain off our back. And a lot of the fancy stuff around there is not really needed. So I've had the opportunity to look at the proposals, and I think the staff did a wonderful job of getting a number, 5 of them, that meet the criteria, and some, may meet them a little better. And I know your guys' job is to look at that and drill down. The only thing I am asking, encouraging, is to keep this train moving down the tracks. Please do not slow it up. Hopefully you can, bring it to the 3 you talked about last meeting, and then at the next meeting, choose one of them and keep it going, because we lost about 6 months now in the ultimate time to get this thing built, and the users are still there. The use is needed. As I talked to the board previous occasions, with the kind of weather we have here, we lost at least 40% and sometimes 60% of our days outside in using that facility. So thank you. Please keep this ball rolling, and I appreciate everything you're doing. And since I have a couple other minutes, I see you also have the cell tower. If any of you spend any time at Sugar Sand Park, it is almost impossible. I'm out there 4 or 5 days a week, and a lot of days you cannot make a phone call. If you're inside, yes, you have the Wi-Fi and you can text or email, but it's almost impossible to make a phone call. So anything as you're moving this along, anything you can, especially Sugar Sand. I'm at all of our parks, and that's the one that is really problematic. So thank you for moving that along also.
Thank you. Anyone else that would like to address the commission?
My name's Ivy Sullivan. I live at 2230 Southwest 11th Place in Parkside. And I built my home there 30 years ago. And at present, we are in a major uphill battle against the sport of pickleball. And I'm sympathizing with the gentleman here. I would encourage everyone to please go online and look at Pickleball Noise Relief. This is the most valuable website you're going to come across. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of lawsuits across, what they call hotspots across America. People have put their home on this website to say, help me fight pickleball in my neighborhood. I've had to move out. I can't take it. It's really affecting my health. There's lots of reasons that we don't want it in our backyard, but it's 67 feet. That's probably the length of this building plus a little bit of that hallway. 67 feet from my backyard. It's an invasion of my space, which is my back patio. Full disclosure, Mr. Ernst lives in my neighborhood. Mr. Ernst is on the HOA, and he is an advocate of pickleball for the few neighbors that are playing pickleball. I appreciate what the board has done again, for pickleball, especially bringing it to not Sugar Sand, but Patrick. I'm thrilled because I'm hoping that some of our residents are going there. But this is a real tough one. We're going to finish our lawsuit in a couple of weeks. We have our final hearing. But when you make a plan to put pickleball anywhere, please understand what it's affecting. It's really affected. Our whole neighborhood has changed. We've got infighting amongst neighbors. We built our home way before a lot of people are there. And it's really been a big divide, and I really appreciate you doing any research you've done, and I know that you have, because I've been following. So thank you for the research. And thank you for Patrick Park and the big new facility that y'all have put a lot of work into. Can't recall the name at the moment, but thank you again. Thanks for listening. This is a problem that's just growing in America. I just ask you to log on to that website and take a look at all the research that's done across America. Thanks for listening. Thank you much.
Thank you, Ms. Sullivan. You understand that's within your HOA, and that's not within our jurisdiction to be of any assistance to you except being listening to what you have to say, and we appreciate your comments. All right, thank you. Anyone else? This time, seeing no movement, we'll close this portion of the meeting. The public request is now closed. In your packet, Commissioners, are the minutes of our previous board meeting held January 20th. What say you?
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion, changes or amendments? Hearing none knows. Maddie, would you, Maddie, that's an old name. Joanne, would you please call them?
Commissioner Ernst,
Yes.
Commissioner Engel,
Yes, Maddie.
Commissioner Rollins,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogelsang. Yes. And Commissioner White.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Aaron, it takes a little while to get used to this chair after all these years. So, yeah, for those in the audience, Maddie was the previous secretary that we had back when I began this career many years ago. Commissioners, the first order of business is the Patrice Paddle and Racket Club Pro Shop design. Brianna, would you kick that off for us?
Commissioners, page 6 of your agenda packets is a brief memo outlining this was part of our adopted budget this year, was to do a new design for the Patrice Park Pickleball Pro Shop. As you guys know, we added 18 courts, significantly shifting how that center operates. So a new pro shop would be in order to kind of work on how the pedestrian traffic is, how their customers are getting out to their different courts. This was part of our budget this year. So this proposal tonight from WZA is to come back with 2 conceptual designs. They would do just a design of the current footprint and then talk about changing the footprint, whether it's adding a restroom facility on another part of the project, and then give you some pricing options for those 2. And if you were to choose one of those, then they would come back with an additional services agreement to do the construction documents for that. So tonight, just looking for input on this, and if there's a motion to adopt as presented, I would take that too.
Mr. Engel?
Motion to adopt as presented.
Do I hear a second?
Which one? There are 2.
Oh,
Just the whole WZA proposal.
WZA.
They would do. the
But
two-
there's one for 164 and one for,
Yeah, one, but this is to explore both options.
okay,
Yes.
second.
So the-
Discussion?
Well, so the total contract amount then is 222,495.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
Any further discussion
It's
items?
for the one is for the
Yeah.
roof and the other is for
Right.
2 concepts of the pro shop.
Right.
Okay.
So can you, this is a lot of money. It's 222,000 for a design,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
It's not a design build proposal. So it's just, they're going to come back with a conceptual design like we got here. And we did this, I'm just kind of want to follow the logic here. We
Yeah.
went through the skate park with the proposal of a design. I don't know what we spent with those folks.
well, the skate park, we haven't spent any, we haven't. that
Roller
was-
hockey rink.
that
I'm
was
sorry,
the-
roller
yeah.
hockey rink. That's what I mean.
Yes.
So the roller hockey rink cost us a significant amount of money to design. We saw some drawings, we picked one. They came back with a $14 million price tag and we said, we are not spending that on this.
Right. So originally that was a new vendor that we had used, a new architect engineering firm. And the original estimate that they came back with was within our budget. It just so happens that when we bid that project, the bids came back much higher. So their estimates were obviously way off. And that is the first time that it's ever happened that it's been that far off. So we've used WZA in a number of projects. Their proposals and their construction estimates have always been on par with what we've gotten. And that's why we recommended this. They're also familiar. The thing with doing a design build at the pro shop is we need to decide if you want to have a larger footprint, obviously that's a longer process. That's site plan, that's changing a lot of different things, or you keep it within the same footprint, but you may lose some of the services that you want to have that would help make it a better facility, like the external restroom and those things. So the idea was that WZA would work on two concepts and work with how it's operating. A lot of times when you do design build, you don't get the same input as you go through the process. So you get a lot of different options that way, but you don't have the same input on the pedestrian traffic. They'll meet with staff. They'll talk about how all these things need to function better. When you walk
Yeah.
in that building, you don't walk in and to a front desk staff, you walk into a glass wall here and a bunch of exits and entrances. So
I guess what I'm trying to get at is the scope of the Patrick Center there going to be just a bulldoze and redo type thing? Or is this, I mean, what are we really, I'm kind of concerned about fiscally our overall operating budget to build these field houses, to build all the things we want to build. And this looks like another project coming online that could be very expensive.
yeah, and again, this is part of our 5-year CIP plan. So this was included in that budget. Obviously that will change if, like we talked about with the property taxes, that could change some of our projects, but, overall, we need to make some changes to that facility now that it's
Agreed.
a higher density of traffic over there. And so at some point we have to redesign that pro shop and make it more functional and more efficient. And this would be the option where you get two different options, you get two different estimates, and you can decide how far you want to go with the project.
So I guess the
And then,
conversation.
I'm sorry, also, I'm sorry. Just so you guys understand, 52,000 of that is the design for the roof. And the roof does have to get redone on that building. We plan to do all the patch reef roofs. We just included it in this because that would be just
That-
easy to do the roof
I-
while we're remodeling it.
What I'm trying to understand is what are we actually buying here? If there's no point in redoing the roof if you're going to tear it all down and do
That was not
So-
part of it,
so-
the plan. The plan was to remodel it and add another building or remodel it and keep it all in the same building.
So what we did over at the community center was we said, look, we can do this for $1 million. Here's $1 million budget, go do it.
Yes.
We came back with I think a pretty good plan. It's going to be, we're coming back down the path of, they came back with proposals and said, this is what we can do for $1 million. And that's what they did. Why aren't we doing that here? What's different here? Why can't we just say, we're going to budget $2 million to redesign it rather than spending a $250,000 on asking someone for a design plan? That's where I'm going.
Well, this is going to be a little more comprehensive of a design because you have 2 restrooms and 2 lounge areas and a complete, in the Patch Reef Community Center, we took down a wall, we kept the main rooms, we kept the hallways the same. We're talking about changing traffic patterns in this building. We're talking about possibly completely changing the restrooms and the locations of the restrooms. So it's a much more comprehensive project than the Patch Reef Community Center was a simpler, we're redoing the lights. We're not changing anything.
Mostly
significant.
cosmetic,
Yes.
what we're doing.
We're adding a bathroom, but we're not moving
redoing
bathrooms
anything. We're
around.
not moving any plumbing. We're not moving any electrical. We're not redoing the layout of a building.
Electrical?
We're doing lighting.
We're changing out the lights, but we're not shifting them anywhere. They're
But
just
you-
the
but-
same lights.
But redoing in the interior of an entire building, including moving bathrooms and walls and things like that, you need a design for that. And we have to figure out what design we want and if we want to add additional things. So that's the options that they're going to give us, right?
I just want to make sure we're all on the same page of what we're getting when this is all done. It's very different than what we just did from the community center. So-
Yes, and I think this calls for a different path, but if you guys want to do a design build or something different, we can do that way too. Happy to do however you want to do it.
Is there a motion on the floor for this?
Yes, there is.
Yes, there is in a second.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, though, Joanne, would you please call the roll?
Sure. Commissioner Ernst,
Yes.
Commissioner Engel,
Yes.
Commissioner Rollins,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogelsang,
Yes.
and Commissioner Wright.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much, Joanne. The next item on the agenda is the discussion that we've had on cell tower RFPs and the location of which the RFP is in your packet, Brianne.
It sure is. Commissioners, on page 19 is a memo outlining the history of our discussions on this RFP for cell towers. We did write this RFP based on the discussions at a previous meeting, so it's an RFP for people to submit proposals for all of the parks that the district owns. Not necessarily all the ones we operate because we can't choose for the city, but this would be encompassing all the parks we own, including Sugar Sand Park. Base the scope on some of the conversations we had as far as their financial commitments that we're looking for, as far as the design and aesthetics that we're looking for. So all those were included tonight. I would just like feedback if there's any additional scope that somebody wanted to talk about. And then also, if everybody was comfortable with the ranking. And if we need to make changes to this, happy to do that. If we want to issue this RFP and get it out on the street, we can also do that.
Greg, I think you were the one that suggested that we open this up to all the other parks that we had. Any thought on this RFP or?
I think it's good. On page 20, it said the key elements of it was about the scope, addressing the parks, as you said there.
Yep.
It's open. I think that's a very good. It gives you several points. The one thing that is missing on those key elements is I think we're looking for maximum revenue share to the district. And so that would be a point that I would say that should be is part of it, but that's just in the cover letter. So I don't,
Well,
in the actual RFP, it does outline a revenue share feature, which I thought was good. My question on that would be, how did you arrive at that? Is that a fair price, or is it subject to change from the bidders?
I based the minimum financial contributions that we put in this RFP. I based that on the discussions we had at the meeting that we had prior, where we talked about the medium range. And so we base these on the higher range of what other municipalities are getting
Okay.
as our minimum for any agreement that moves forward.
Okay. We'll see if we get back.
What time frame are you going to have? 30, 60, 90 days?
It's an excellent question. I mean, we typically do 30 days. We can certainly put this out a little bit longer to give more people time to submit.
I think with the scope, with so many parks, it should be more than 30 days.
Okay. I would like to submit one more question about the ranking criteria before, if anybody's going to make a motion to adopt this. The ranking criteria is an overall ranking criteria. My question would be, would the board prefer to rank by park and have it separated so that you're ranking all the ones that we get for Sugar Sand and all the ones we get for Patch Reef, all the ones we get separately, or did you want to just do it as one firm? I thought about that in hindsight, so I apologize to bring that up tonight.
I think if we're going to put out an RFP for all the parks, we should rank for all the parks. But my question is, if we're not satisfied with what we're getting, say if Sugar Sand is the first park where we put up a tower, if we're not satisfied with the performance of the vendor, do we have a right of recall and putting this out for bid again?
Well, we would have to write that into the terms of any sort of easement agreement that we do.
Yeah, I would want to see that.
I would suggest give yourself maximum flexibility, however that is, to design it so that you can pick and choose what you want.
Okay.
Yep.
Crystal clear.
Well,
I do have a question.
wait, so
I mean, if we do it as a blanket RFP for all of our parks.
Yeah.
Would we be getting into the same type of issue that we got into at North Park for the west side, where we just kind of threw it out there and said, okay, just bring us your bids. And
Well, that's the thing is this RFP was written so that somebody doesn't have to submit for all parks. They could just submit a proposal for Sugar Sand. They could just submit for Ocean Strand. They could just submit for Swim Center. So in hindsight, I'm thinking maybe the criteria needs to be based by park, and you can evaluate each proposal by park and decide that way.
I think that it would be the best for us to keep it clear and keep it clear for the public to do it that
I
way.
will ask Mr. Gorn to help me.
You could decline one, maybe,
You can absolutely.
if you want to
reject
make it
anything.
flexible, so you could, if you don't like the proposal for Sugar Sand, you can decline.
I have that written, and you guys have full ability to reject any and all proposals.
in your discretion. Yeah. Correct.
So tonight, if we adopt this, I would just make it in whatever motion you write that the ranking criteria will be delineated by park. If you make a motion to adopt and put this out.
I'll make a
Commissioners?
motion to adopt the proposal as amended.
Second,
Any further discussion? Hearing none, Joanne, please call the roll.
Sure. Commissioner Ernst,
Yes.
Commissioner Engel,
Yes.
Commissioner Rollins.
Yes.
Commissioner Vogelsang.
Yes.
Commissioner Ray.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. The third and final item is the bid ranking of the rink cover for the multi-sport rink that we have at Sugar Sand Park. And I think as the one speaker mentioned, that we've been hoping to get this done, rolled out before now, and cost overruns and so forth have been an issue. And Brianne, turn that over to you.
Commissioners, we received 6 proposals from 5 different vendors for a cover for the roller rink at Sugar Sand Park. We're calling it a multi-sport rink now. We received a proposal from Recreation Design and Construction for $3,529,793. Shift Construction for $4,861,260. MBR for $4,297,269. Versetti Enterprises for $5,215,211.69. Butters Construction gave 2 different proposals. One proposal was for a metal canopy system, that's $4,400,000, and another proprietary fabric canopy system. These were 2 separate individual proposals that you ranked individually. That final one was $3,800,000. At our last meeting, the board decided that they would rank these proposals tonight and decide from there if you wanted to have anybody come in for interviews or award based on the ranking. Once I do have some scores from everybody except one commissioner. So once we have all those scores, I will read them out loud into the record. But I do want to ask Mr. Gorin just to briefly talk about the ranking process and the requirement of the statute.
Chair, if I may,
Please.
just for the record, the RFP itself is not in the backup, but it was in fact published and it was available to all of you for the purposes of your decision-making. The RFP is a controlling document. It makes direct reference to the process and it also makes reference to the criteria, which Brianne has very carefully set forth in the memorandum attached to the backup this evening. Take a look, if you will, though, at the statute. It makes reference to Chapter 255 and also to 287. In the context of 287, which is the Consultants Competitive Negotiations Act, a couple of observations, if you will, that are worth noting. And that is that each agency, which would be this agency, shall evaluate professional services, including capabilities, adequacy of personnel, past record, experience, whether the firm is certified, et cetera. Those criteria, which are also incorporated by reference into the RFP package itself. The competitive selection process, which is also articulated to the extent it is in the RFP, as well as by Brianne's presentation. The law requires, and your RFP requires, that the agency shall select, not may, but shall select, in order of preference, no fewer than 3 firms, deemed to be the most highly qualified to perform the required services. And in determining whether the firm is qualified, the agency shall consider such factors as the ability of professional personnel, whether a firm is a certified minority business enterprise provided for now by state law. There's been some changes in that provision. Past performance, willingness to meet the time and budget requirements, location, recent, current, and projected with workloads of the firms, and other matters that are contained in the statute as well. The memorandum speaks to the issue where the RFP may be more restrictive or may have more requirements. And that's set forth in the memorandum as follows. And I think it's been followed in the past, which is qualifications and experience of the firm and the project team, technical approach and understanding of the project scope, the project schedule and capacity, material systems and long-term durability, cost and alignment with the district's budget. Those criteria are not incompatible with, and are better said, are consistent with the statute that governs, which is also referred to in the provisions of Chapter 255 and 287. The ranking process is a public process. Understand that some of you may have submitted your recommendations in writing, that those recommendations will be part of the record this evening, to the extent that the district manager or the director has that information handy and available. The decision to do so, though, is a public process and must be done by motion. The end result of which is that it be your desire to rank and to proceed to have, as was mentioned by Brianne, public reviews and interviews. That's your prerogative to do so, or you can rank and essentially proceed based upon the recommendations of your professional staff, given the rankings as you otherwise would conclude them. That's in short the process. It is a legally required process. It's a public process. There are members of the public that are here tonight. And before you make a final decision with regard to what motion is adopted, the public does have a right to be heard under the state law as well, governing sunshine. But at the moment, you have the fee proposals of 6 firms, actually not six, it's less than six, but you have the option A and option B from Butters. And the criteria that are in the memorandum tracks what's in the RFP and then the statute, which also has the supplemental information as well. So it's a decision that you need to make, and you have the ranking sheets, which will be made public to the extent that they're available this evening to do so. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have, either from me or from Brianne, that encapsulate the process, which you've done before. This is not a new rodeo, but it's a new program and a new process for this particular applicant.
Mr. Gordon, the question that I have is, since we do not have, we're short one ranking, are we able to continue the process of discussion this evening?
You are.
Okay.
You are.
Okay.
And to the extent that there's an open member that has not voted or has not submitted, they could submit and add to the mix as well.
Okay. Are we in a position where we could make the decision without the missing criteria that's been
You technically could, as
Yeah.
a matter of law.
which I would not really like to do that. I would really personally, from a chairman's standpoint, like to have everybody's
Yes.
ranking before we
Right.
proceed there. But commissioners, Brian, do you have a thought on that?
Happy to
Yeah.
do whatever the board wants to do. If you have your ranking scores ready, I can enter them in and then read everything out.
Again, for the record, whatever is submitted that was not submitted previously does not make it illegitimate or inappropriate legally to be considered. If it's, however, the process that you've adopted, which you have to accept it and make it part of the mix, you can, and that would be the prerogative of the board itself, as mentioned.
So there was a motion that this is how we would handle it. So without a motion that would be made to change that order, we should proceed then. If the missing ranking is provided, we can move forward, or we can move forward without it. I prefer moving forward with it so that everybody's voice is heard. So, Craig?
Yep. I mean, I have my ranking.
Okay.
I was prepared to send it in, but the conversation I'm interested in is what do we want? I want to have a conversation before we vote on this. And I think the best way to do it is to invite these participants in. I mean, 5 to me are very qualified. You have a range of bids from 3.5 million to 5.2 million. And I went through these thoroughly, and I got the precursor memo that talked about the roof. Commercial grade is 24 gauge aluminum roof. They all have that. Okay. Some don't have the downspout. Some have a better, disclaim themselves that they don't know what's underneath the ground when they tear it up. Okay, I got that. Those are quantifiable. Those are discoverable. This is a design build. That's a big difference of 3.5 million to 5.2 million. I think it would be very beneficial to invite these people in and show me who is your project manager that is going to actually do the work. Because we found from the 9 years I've been on this board, we pick someone and we find out the project manager is not who we expect, and it just doesn't work. So I think it's important that they come in and demonstrate that they can do this job and that they can do it with a solid project manager who will deliver it. Some of these proposals, this is all they do. And they gave us detailed, not conceptual plans, not a pretty picture, but a detailed plan with where the footings are and how much everything is, very detailed. That's your low-cost bidder. They do this all the time. I kind of like the idea of someone who does things all the time, but I don't know where everyone is on those things and where we're going to rank them. And I'd hate to exclude someone. So I think and I appreciate Art wanting to get this done, and I want to get it done too. But there's a couple questions I would ask. Number one, let's invite these folks in. And for the benefit of doubt, I'd say invite all 6 of them into the next meeting, give us a presentation, show us who their project managers, ask them some questions, then rank. And that would satisfy the statute. Would that not, Sam?
It's one of the conditions, yes.
So
Interviews are in fact provided for in the law. That's correct.
So you could interview them. You could make sure that you got who you got the right. You maybe it's changed your mind, but if you got all the paper here and you want to make a decision on that, we could. Just note that they're very different between these two. very thin, very conceptual, very different in price. So you want to take that chance of paying a lot more for it, that's okay. But I think it's beneficial to take the time to do that. The other question I would ask is, there's a lot of discussion around the roller hockey part of it. I was the one who went out there and I talked to the roller hockey people. And I talked to them and they were saying, okay, it'd be nice to have this thing covered. And I thought, I agreed. And then Art came along and said, well, I'm using this for, his practice out there. So it makes sense for that. And then we have Boca Hoops kind of disappearing. We know they need it. Okay. In the meantime, they changed the flooring. And then the roller hockey people said the flooring is terrible. It is not designed for roller hockey as much as it used to be. It's not as good. And I think the play has dropped off on roller hockey, but I don't know. So the open question is what is the usage today of those three sports? And what do we think the usage will be in the future? I would hate to see us design something very specific for roller hockey and then find out that, we can't satisfy them with the flooring there. And that sport is just kind of transitioned. So I think we need to be sure we are designing this for the next, 10, 20 years. And I'm not sure, I just don't know that answer to that question.
Well, the reading through the proposals, some were more detailed than others, like you said, Craig, but there was a lot of information in there that trying to pull it all together so you could successfully rank them was a challenge. But and you raise a good point, and I know the issue with the floor has been. I noticed a consensus on the flooring in a number of the different proposals. They were referencing the same type of proposal. So I think that there is a solution to the problem that when we changed the flooring out originally. But commissioners, Sue?
Well, I do have a question for Sam. In the past, back in the ancient days when Bob and I were on this board,
Yeah.
when we would rank, we would also have to consider the experience or the contracts awarded by the district to different vendors. And if there were too many contracts awarded, we were supposed to negatively look at that and in that vein instead of, oh yeah, we've worked with these people, they're great, let's do it again. So which way should we be looking at that?
May I respond, Mr. Chair?
Yes, please.
The answer is that the statute gives us some guidance. The guidance indicates specifically that current and projected workloads of the firm are part of the statute, which can be considered by you as well in making a ranking decision. So the answer,
Positively or negatively?
well, that's the discretion rests with yourselves.
I think her question is if they've done work specifically for us, not necessarily their general workload or projects out there. I think she's asking, do they get a negative mark because they've done more projects for us than other firms? Is that correct? Yes.
I may disagree only to the extent that workload means can you do this job when assigned the task of doing this job, but you could interpret it both ways. One could argue that, do you mean other positions, other options? The statute does not give you that distinction. It just says workloads of the firms, which would tend to suggest workloads at the current vintage, or it could have been how many jobs you have had in the past. The end result of which is that you retain the discretion to look not just at the statute, but also your own RFP, and to decide whether or not that workload issue is meaningful enough to you to either provide a positive result or a negative result for that proposer who may not be able to finish the job on time because of other workload obligations. You may also look at the situation and say, well, they've had X number of projects. The statute does in fact look at the issue of, read it if I can. Sorry. With the object of affecting an equitable distribution of contracts among qualified firms, which would support your consideration. Correct, which is the issue of, do you ding somebody because they have had more jobs than others for the same public employer, the same public entity? So those are all topics and subtopics which you can consider in the context of your ranking. You may ding them, you may not ding them, because it does talk about, it's not a disqualifier legally, but it does talk about the workloads of the firms, and the work previously awarded to each firm with the object of effecting an equitable distribution of contracts among qualified firms. So there is, you know, some conversation about that issue as well. Another factor that can be considered, you know, unless your decisions are arbitrary and capricious and they're not based upon facts that you glean from the information, you just simply vote out of disrespect for those criteria, would your decision be overturned because of being arbitrary and capricious? It's your decision to make professionally and publicly as stewards of the public trust. And you have to consider all those factors together, which I think you've done very nobly in the past.
Thank you.
Great.
But we haven't talked to any of these.
And
So-
if I may correct one more time, and
Yeah.
to support the conclusion, the statute does give you some guidance with it, which specifically says may require public presentations. That's not legally required, and I don't want to suggest that it is. You have to look at your own custom and practice, what you would like to do, how you want to handle it. The statute does not mandate that you have a presentations by the proposers.
So I can turn in my ballot if that's what you want. And out of that, they'll add them up and you're going to get one winner. Is that what you're going to get out of this?
No,
We said 3.
So we're going
No
to
less
pick the
than-
top
No less
three.
than 3 is required by statute.
Yeah, yeah, I think the motion was that we would rank them and pick the top 3 that had the highest number of points, Craig.
Okay.
So, you know, I think you've raised some good points, and, you know, there is a lot of some issues with the pricing differentials in some cases, but, you know, other add-ons can contribute to that low bid coming in a little bit higher with some other unknown that they did not include that some of the others did, whether it's in material or other construction facts that elude me in any way. Aaron, what's your thought?
I'm okay with ranking them and then taking the top 3. That's fine with me. If Craig really wants to have all 5 proposers come in and we ask them all questions, that's fine with me as well. But we agreed on the last meeting to do the top 3 and rank them. So I'm fine with that.
All right, you know, there was a motion, so we would have to have a motion to change our process, if I'm not mistaken. Correct, Sam?
Mr. Chair, you'd have to amend the process.
Amend the motion.
To amend the motion, and although there's not been a motion for reconsideration offered, you have, as a board, appear to be moving in the direction of considering changing the approach, which would be an amendment to your prior motion. If the body would choose to do that by motion, you have to amend that process and confirm what you're going to do and how you're going to do it.
Well, if we rank and Craig chooses not to put his rankings into that, you said we can still take those top 3
You can.
without his, that would mean you wouldn't be putting your information in there.
Oh, I got that. I didn't anticipate coming in here that you were going to do something without it. I'll give it to you if you want it. I'm just saying, you know, I would definitely rule out one of the firms for sure. And I think that will happen by itself. I do not want to see one of them ruled out who I think is the narrative that was given to us beforehand kind of rules it out. And that kind of bothered me. I think you need to look at them independently. And when you look at them independently, you're going to have 4 very qualified, 5 who could build you a metal structure roof out there. And I'm looking for deliverable, quality, on time, and lowest cost. Because we have a need to spend money elsewhere. And this is just not that big of a priority to put a big thing in there. So I do not want to have the low cost bidder knocked out.
This was your project that you're the one who was, I mean, you were the one pushing this from the very
Absolutely.
beginning. So I don't understand where you're coming from on that. I mean, I get,
I'm
we
a-
have to do it responsibly, but we also want it to perform well and last, be durable, and done by an experienced firm. So I get the lowest cost, but you also have to look at the full proposal and everything that's
I did.
included in it.
I did look at the full proposal and I spent my Saturday, a better part of Saturday, going through each and every one of these
Yes,
in
did I.
detail. Yes. So they're very different. Okay. And so, but in this,
full proposals
but my
come
concern,
at you
my-
whenever you do things like this. The ranges can be very wide in terms of the materials that they're using, the things they're including and things they're excluding. So those are the things you have to look at. But when we agreed to do a ranking, and now you're kind of holding it hostage and saying, well, I'm not going to give you my ranking.
I did not.
So, I mean,
So Aaron, that's unfair. Okay. First of all, this is it's spending money that is a lot of money.
right.
And I'm very concerned about how we spend money and that we spend it judiciously. And that the way this ranking was put up forth, you could very well go through this process and knock out the low bidder completely. Okay. And I think that would be a tragedy of this whole ranking process. So in that spirit, I'd rather take the top 4 who've come in and do that. We were given a preface document that said, here, consider this, consider that, consider this. This has been excluded on that one. It was a very guided process. By default, if I just read that document, I would be led to believe the roofing structure is very different on some of these. And I did not appreciate that when I went through and read the actual proposal. They are not, okay? So from that perspective, I want to have a fair and honest ranking. And so a fair and honest ranking is know who your project manager is, so you know your project manager can deliver it. We haven't even really, yeah, I can read, they're all scoped. Yeah, some have 20 years of experience, some have 35 years of experience. I want to know who's going to be working on this job, working well with Melissa and Brianne. I think that's important because you get the wrong project manager, you have a problem. That's only going to come through the interview process. We do not interview these people. So I'm suggesting that we interview them and then we rank. But if you want to rank now, and take that chance of just because we want to rush it along, we can do that. I'm prepared to give my ranking and go for it. Okay, I think that would be a mistake and for the residents of Boca.
Mr. Engel, you've had your hand up.
Yeah, it's getting kind of tired. As far as whether we interview these people, whatever is the flavor of the commission, I'm fine with. Whether we rank 3 or we interview 5 first and then rank them, I'm fine either way. But 2 things. One is a question for our council. If we decide to go the avenue of having the bidders come in and then rank them again, does the initial ranking have any impact? If there's a difference between the 2, does that initial ranking have any impact on the final action of the board? So if somebody says X gets 3 now, and then after the bidder comes in, X gets 1, does anything come into play here, or we just go with the last command?
So Steve, you're asking if we just void the ranking.
Correct.
And then move forward with the interviews and rank them after the interviews. That's kind of, I think, what Craig is asking for, right?
I'm just saying, make your ranking after you talk to them.
That's what I just said.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Quickly respond to the commissioner. I think that the suggestion that you've offered, I don't want to use the word confusion, but it potentially would cause some confusion because if you're ranking this evening and then you're interviewing and then going to re-rank, those re-rankings could potentially be different than you did this evening.
Yeah, no, I understand that. That was my point. The point is, for 4 of us, the rankings are already in the record. We've already submitted them.
We haven't read those into the record.
Oh, okay.
So unless you guys made a motion to do that, we wouldn't do that. They would just
Okay.
not be.
So that solves that part. The second question I had was what Susie brought up. I think we need to be uniform as a commission as to whether we decide how can I put it? A profusion of contracts with a specific bidder is a positive or a negative. I think we all need to be on the same page with that. So we're talking the same criteria. I think that's a decision. If we're going to interview all 5 bidders, I think that's a decision that we have to come to in order to rank them properly.
Sue?
I have another question that's going to confuse us even farther. Are we if we do have the interviews at the next meeting or the meeting after that, are we allowed to ask the quantity of current projects that these contractors have? And do they have the staff to complete our project if they have a profusion of projects throughout the South Florida?
I think you're allowed to
Yeah.
ask those questions, yes.
Yeah,
My co-counsel is correct.
yep.
Yes, and you are,
Yeah.
because that is in the statute. And the terms that are referred to as the workloads of the firms. If they're hypothetically overburdened elsewhere, then they may have some impact on the current project that you're proposing. If they're under performing elsewhere, underworked elsewhere, they may have more opportunity. Either way, you have to make that decision, but either way further, you get to make that decision after listening to whatever you're trying to hear from them, which is what's the workload. It's a fair and legally approvable question to ask. So you could.
So to be clear, if we have an amendment to the previous motion, then
Process, yes.
process,
Just to be clear, there wasn't a motion made, it was a consensus made, so
was it?
you can make a motion tonight just to do interviews at the next meeting, if that's all.
Okay, and should we elect to do that and get the motion approved, then these rankings that we have would be null and void, okay, as they should be.
They're preserved from public records criteria only to the extent that they're part of the bidding process or not public at the moment. Okay, until you make a decision ultimately. If you had chosen to accept them this evening and make them part of the ranking process, they would have been open publicly tonight. But they're protected otherwise. The consequence of which is like you're starting at square one. If again, whatever your decision is publicly to interview and to rank, that's certainly your prerogative to do so. But I would urge you to do that by motion to adopt the process.
Yeah.
So I just want to be clear though, so you don't like the ranking process at all for any project? So
No, I think we need to hear the participants, hear a conversation of what we want. Right now, we have essentially five proposals that are with no discussion. One of them is, you may have a feeling of the fabric, I may have a feeling about the metal roof, but we haven't talked about it at all. And it's not really defined. I think by coming in, letting them present, we can have a conversation and then we can rank.
I'm talking about for like future projects. You don't like them because moving forward, any project that we put forward and we get RFPs back, we're going to have to go through the ranking process. But you're saying you don't really like the ranking process because you want to talk to all the proposers that put in RFPs for all our projects, right?
I'm not saying that.
That's what it sounds like.
Well, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying we should have a conversation about what we want, defining what we want.
Well, we
and then-
did in the
but-
RFP that we put
And you
out.
have 5 different RFP proposals. Look at your RFP proposals. Some are very colorful. Conceptual design looks very different than the other ones. Okay, it's $1 million more. So I think that we just have to have a conversation. We need to make sure we're on a level playing ground. And so if the concern is about the price, they can be adjusted. Okay, what do gutters cost? What does water mitigation plant cost? We should ask that. That's the time to ask it with the bidders, and you get more information from the actual person delivering the work. I think that's important. Then you rank.
Okay, so Brianna said that we officially did not have an emotion. We just agreed to do the ranking, the top 3. So for the purpose of moving forward, I need a motion on how to proceed, and if seconded, we have discussion.
I'll make a motion to defer the ranking, proceed with interviews of the proposers at a future meeting, and then do the ranking.
Okay, and for the sake of the interviews, you have one firm that has 2 different proposals, so they'll have the same amount of time to present each proposal. Is that everybody's on the same page with that? Like, are we giving a 10-minute presentation, 15-minute presentation? I would like some direction as far as what I tell the vendor.
We would have to give each proposal, regardless of what bidder is making that proposal. Each proposal would have to get the same amount of time.
And how much time do we want to give them to present?
I'd say 10 minutes.
Yeah, I would agree 10.
Followed by question and answers with the board. Okay.
And the public.
Well, we're going to do a Q&A with the public or public input. 'Cause those are 2 separate.
Public input. I don't think we need Q&A.
Okay, we've never done that before, so I just want to make sure.
The record, that's not required. However, to the extent the public has a right to be heard before you make the ultimate decision, they would have a right to be heard.
Joanne, did you get that motion? So please read that back to us, please.
The motion was to defer the ranking and proceed with interviews and then rank.
And that means the implication too is that the rankings that we've done are null and void.
Correct. They
Right.
don't exist.
Okay, all right. A motion's been made. I
If I
require
may,
a
the
second.
the motion included, it's an indefinite tabling, which means it's essentially not going to be considered.
Oh, you want to, what do you need, the next 30 days, 60 days? I mean,
think
the
we need-
intent is to do it soon.
And the
later.
objective is to set a time, correct?
I would include in the motion a time frame because we could drag this thing on indefinitely.
Are we not doing the interviews at the next meeting
Uh,
and ranking
I'd
that
prefer
night?
to do it as soon as possible.
And do you
Yeah.
want to rank that night?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, then I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded that with the friendly amendment with the time frame that we're doing this at a next meeting.
Includes interviewing and ranking.
Interviewing and the ranking.
And I want to be clear to all the proposers that the ranking will happen that same evening. Okay.
When is the next meeting?
The Tuesday, because it's a holiday, the next
Tuesday.
After
February.
President's Day.
17th, I'm sorry.
Yes, so
Are we allowed to submit questions that Brianne could submit to each of the proposers? Such as, what's the square footage or any of the questions that I'm thinking about?
I think we should ask those publicly of each
Okay.
proposer.
Okay,
In a perfect world, the answer would be yes, but we're not in a perfect world, so the answer is that it has to be the way that Brianne suggested, which would be in a public forum.
okay,
This way, everyone's on the same playing field at the same time.
okay.
okay. Well, it's hard to argue with the concept of doing the best for our public and spending our tax dollars, and obviously I wanted to keep this thing moving, and if we keep it at the next meeting, we can do just that, do the ranking, do the selection, and move on after the meeting. So
We're actually on the same timeline. All you did
Yes.
was expand the number of,
yeah, and we're good. Thank you, Craig. Joanne, would you please call the roll?
Absolutely. Commissioner Ernst?
yes.
Commissioner Engel?
Yes.
Commissioner Rollins?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogelsang?
Yes.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Yeah, thank you for that discussion. I think that'll serve us well.
Keep
the-
reading.
Where's my agenda here? All right, so the next is the approval of payroll and invoices. Mr. Treasurer,
Yep. Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion for approval of payroll and invoices in the amount of $521,119.24.
Second.
moving second discussion. Hearing none, Joanne, would you please call the roll?
Sure. Commissioner Ernst?
Yes.
Commissioner Engel?
Yes.
Commissioner Rollins?
Yes,
Commissioner Vogelsang?
Yes.
And Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Madam Executive Director, your report?
Commissioners, just a few updates. As you all know from the email I sent out last week, the North Park project, which is still in public works review, as it has been for now a year-long process with the city has now asked us to add an additional item to North Park, which will cost at a minimum another $250,000 to the project. As you all know, I reached out to the city and expressed our concerns about the add-on and that we wanted to talk about it. So we are working on I received an email back today that the staff has met on the subject, and we're going to schedule a meeting this week to discuss alternatives. I feel like the only alternative would obviously be to not require any more additional work on the project. It's been in public works review for over a year now. I think the city staff has had ample time to put in any additional things that they wanted on the project. The project is already out to bid, as you all know. The bids are due back February 18th. So anything that the city adds on after this would be added on to whatever bids we get back. So I will keep everybody updated on that as I speak with the staff later this week, and we'll see what the options will be to keep moving that project forward. The city is putting on a traffic garden safety fair at our traffic garden on Wednesday, February 18th. There's no school in Palm Beach County that day. They will have city departments and community organizations. They're going to have booths out there to promote bike safety. They're going to have helmet fittings and free helmet giveaway, as well as giveaways for kids. The Florida Department of Transportation is going to be out there, Boca Raton Mobility, the Boca Raton Police Department. I want to thank our officer for being here tonight. Boca Raton Fire Department, Safe Kids of Palm Beach County, Drowning Prevention Coalition. The library will be there, Ocean Rescue, and the Children's Science Exploring will also be out there to have a fun day on the traffic garden. And then just an update on construction on the decking surrounding the Gumbo Limbo facility. As you all know, as you've been out there, that decking is long overdue. They're going to start construction on February 9th. They're doing this in two parts. They're anticipated to be done by June 16th. They've scheduled this in two different ways so that it doesn't impact accessibility to the aquariums at any point. They're not expecting too much impact to visitors. There is going to be two entry and exit doors now instead of 3 as they go through this construction process. This is a project being managed by the city. It's just funded by the district because that is a city-owned property. And those are my updates for this evening.
How much is
Thank
it?
you.
I don't have the price in front of me, but it was approved in our budget this year.
Mr. Gordon, your report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At the last meeting, my law partner, Jacob Horowitz, presented the update on House Bill 6005 and Senate Bill 378. Both bills, which are still pending in Tallahassee, seek to repeal the goals, objectives, and the requirements of the statute that you're in compliance in doing, by the way. But the bills would eliminate that from the law. I actually pulled the bills today to look at them. It's a one-liner, just repeals that section of the statute. It's 189.0694. Not looking at the legislative history as to why the request is to repeal it, I don't have an answer, but I can tell you that it's still in play and it still has legs because there's a House version and a Senate version, neither of which have been decided yet. And as you know, you have to have 2 bills that actually conform to each other to get it to the governor's desk for approval. The end result is that both bills are pending. They've not been pulled. They both exist and they may have some impact to not just this district, but all special districts in Florida. But again, just to make clear for the record, the compliance of this entity, this organization is in full compliance. Your executive director has done the work. You've approved the form and presentation. This would be for future years, not yet to have occurred. I'm not exactly sure why they're doing it, but they are. So not to question their integrity or otherwise, but it's a repealer of something which you've already been doing. Without objection, by the way. That's all I have this evening. Thank you for listening. Happy to answer any other questions you may have.
That's enough, Mr.
Yeah, but I must tell you, I listen every Monday to the Florida League of Cities has their Monday morning webinar with regard to pending bills. Not to make anybody nervous, but the ad valorem tax bills are moving forward.
Yes, they are.
They're sailing through committees as if they were like a knife on buttered toast. It's pretty quick. The homestead bills, I mean, there are, I think, four or five bills currently pending. Which one gets to the ballot is unclear at the moment, but the rationale and the theory, and I'm not here to judge the legislature, but they seemingly are very supportive of changing the tax structure in the state. Bearing in mind that, to Commissioner Engel's comment, if there were to be an interest in having an income tax in Florida, that would require a constitutional amendment. It's in the Constitution not to have income tax. So that's a whole other dynamic that's not in any of those bills, by the way, not even connected to those bills. There may have been discussion about that issue, but it's not in any one of the bills to include an income tax. There have been discussions about what impact there will be on sales tax to support the lack of revenue from ad valorem taxes, but that's in discussional stages and that's in the committees. And again, they're all moving forward with a lot of support, which is a little bit I can use the word scary in public because it is.
So just for clarity around that, Florida has no state income tax. We got that.
Yes.
They have a sales tax that is partially, the county based and partially state based.
Correct.
And we know they get a lot of revenue from all that. And it sounds like they're going to share that with when school districts are exempt from this property tax proposal. So there is always going to be a property tax for school district and emergency type services.
I don't think fire's included in all of them. Police is, I believe.
Police is included, but
Fire
fire is
is not.
excluded.
No, police
So-
is, you're right.
So, okay, so we got police and schools covered, but we don't have fire and parks covered,
No, sir.
and maybe utilities.
Well, they collect utility tax.
They take utility
Yes, they
tax.
do, and they
So in
technically share it with government, but that's another debate.
So when our state representative came here, she said there's 8 different possible outcomes of all that. In your opinion, Sam, which one of those is the most likely one that we would get our revenue source if we no longer had property tax?
Well, the bills that seem to have a lot of larger legs are the bills that relate to modifying the homestead tax exemption by providing a amortization over a 10-year period. At some point.
What does that mean? Does that mean, I get 25,000 off the value of my property every year?
50.
50. Okay, 50. I'm sorry.
Unless
okay.
you're taking only 25, but you can take 50.
Okay, yep, got it. So maybe I'm getting gypped,
You're allowed
but I don't
to-
know.
the proposal that I think has more likelihood of success is the one that over a 10-year period would increase the homestead tax exemption up to, I think, $200,000. I forget exactly what the numbers
It
are.
doubles.
Doubles.
Yes.
Yes. So that sounds nice, but the end result of which is it eliminates the property tax at some point. Or it has a major impact on it that may
So
not.
the homestead exemption goes from 50 to 100,
From 100 to 200.
200, yeah,
from 100 to 200.
right.
And doesn't matter how long you own the home or anything like that.
Some of it relates to portability also. I've seen some of the
Okay.
bills that talk about the issue of.
That's a nuance. That's fine.
Increasing
Okay.
portability for the transfer possibility, yeah.
So that, I don't get it though. So I get a greater homestead exemption.
Because they're saying you get more money in your pocket that way, and then they're eliminating the property taxes.
Eliminating the property taxes.
By giving a higher homestead tax exemption.
So where does the money come back to the district to pay for all of these parks and stuff?
Doesn't.
Doesn't.
There's an empty pot,
Mhm.
with all due respect. The statute doesn't answer that question. By implication, though, if you
They're
keep
just
increasing.
leaving them to figure it out on their own.
We're gonna ask you guys to give up your salaries.
Yeah.
They don't make any money.
But as you increase the homestead tax exemption, eventually, there's no money to come back to local government.
Okay, I'm gonna fight for more nickels and dimes on the next one, so.
Um, it-
Uh,
I don't know if it's my,
Go right ahead, Steve.
okay. If I might editorialize, it's my impression that the notion that has been promoted, we'll give you whatever you want, you get it now and you don't have to pay for it, is coming home to roost. Because everything has a price. Doesn't make a difference in what currency or how, in what terms you want to look at it, everything has a price. If we were to continue doing what we do, we'd have to look at asking for a piece of the action on county sales tax. Possibly looking at raising our millage rate by a horrific amount, which would affect all of us one way or another, because we were talking about retail and commercial. So we're talking about Publix, let's just say for argument's sake, their millage rate right now is $1.10. 1.1. It might go up to 4. Okay, somebody's got to pay it, and it's going to be us. So one way or another, we're going to pay this tax. And it's very frustrating to me, having sat on this board for 13 years now, that this doesn't seem to sink in. We do what we do because, and we do it well, in my opinion, because we manage what we get. We manage our revenues. We don't, there's no fund for if an iceberg is sighted off the coast of Florida in May, we get a bonus. Stuff like that doesn't exist here. And when we had Miss Seidman here, and she says, well, you guys really don't have to worry. Yeah, we do. We do. And so what my ask is tonight to all of you that are sitting here, and your friends and your neighbors and your relatives that live in the state of Florida, to get a hold of their state legislators, whether it be in the House or in the Senate, and let them know that we understand that one way or another, we're going to have to pay for it. And it may not be as easy as they think it's going to be. So that's my editorial for tonight. On another note,
Your 3
Brianne-
minutes is up, Steve.
I'm sorry. On another note, for the Boys and Girls Club project
Yeah.
at North Park.
Yes.
Where are things right now?
So we're working through a draft report from the Ford Group. Just received that late last week, so we're working with them on that, having a meeting scheduled this week. And then hopefully maybe by the next meeting, we'll be ready to talk about that information and then decide if you guys want to move forward or not.
Okay, and last but not least, when I spoke about ranking criteria early, as to whether or not we're gonna ding or minus or plus a bidder for their experience with us and the number of jobs they've had with us, we need to be all on the same page. And we need, that needs to be something that we have to decide upon. Whether we do it now or we do it at the next meeting is fine.
I don't understand what you're talking about.
In other words, if Susie thinks it's a minus, for example, to have extensive work with us
Uh-huh.
by a bidder, she'll make that a minus. If I decide, well, that's a benefit because they know how we operate, then that's a plus. We have to decide if we're all gonna, that we're all gonna use the same criteria for ranking. This is part of the criteria.
Well, I
for
mean, if
ranking.
we've worked with them in the past and we've had a good experience, everybody would say we've had a good experience. If we
Yeah.
had a bad experience, then we've had a bad experience. So
That-
everybody can have their own opinion on that.
No, that's a separate issue. If Joe Blow messed up on a splash pad, and I'm just using it as an example, yeah, you take that into account if they're bidding on this. But if Joe Blow had 10 contracts with us and he's performed well, and Jane Blow had no contracts with us or one contract with us, would we hold it against? Would we have to hold it against?
Okay, let's move past hypothetical and get right to the cutting. I don't know that we have too many folks that fall into that category, Steve. I mean, I think I saw one contractor that worked for us with Patch Reef.
Yeah,
Somebody works with the city, but to Aaron's point, I think if we had good results with somebody, I wouldn't want to ding them. And I don't know that we need to.
okay.
I think you want to keep talking
So,
about it. I'm fine with that, but I don't think.
You're answering the question for
Yeah.
me.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah. Okay.
we're all on the same page
Right.
with that. Mhm.
Aaron,
I
I'm
think-
gonna call on you
yeah.
next.
Okay, nothing.
Oh.
Good.
Bless your heart.
How should we take that?
Oh, yeah.
I do want to just wish Erin a happy birthday. It was her birthday yesterday, so you
Oh.
forgot that.
Hey.
Happy birthday.
Yes. Thank
All
you.
right. Thanks. Craig, did I call on you?
I have nothing.
Okay. Ms. Vogelsang.
Chuck, thank you again for another wonderful media post that you did an excellent job. It was a wonderful picture of our chairman. And you just pull these things out of the city and the district, and you just do a wonderful job. Thank you. Social media is popping up with a lot of our parks like Ocean Strand, like, go sit and meditate at Ocean Strand. It's just really nice to see the positive things that are coming through social media about the district. So that's all I have. Oh, I do have one question. The ethics course.
I haven't sent that out yet. They were, as soon as they send it out, we'll forward it out to everybody.
Oh, I thought it was,
They still.
They still have not updated it yet.
Oh.
Usually it is out by now. The state has not put that out yet.
well, I hope Mr. Gorin's name pops up on it this time too.
Whatever. Just if I may quickly, just so you know, that's not in any of the pending bills to eliminate that part of the law. That's still there, not part of the bills.
I was in Tallahassee last Tuesday and Wednesday. Tried my darndest to see our representative and make an appointment by email, by phone, and was unable to visit with the representative. So in the interest of transparency, I was disappointed that I couldn't talk to her about the same subject we've been talking about. But I did hear from the CFO from Florida. He started out his conversation by saying, when the legislature is in session, hide the women and children. And he was really on the reduction in ad valorem taxes. I mean, a lot of pressure he's getting from the governor. And for whatever reason, the thing they didn't answer, Steve, is that they did some audits of some counties and so forth, but he didn't answer the question as well. Why don't you go after the people who are abusing this and the people who are physically responsible? Give them a pat on the back, but that's not the way politics works, I guess. So, Brianne, did you have any final closing
I
comments?
did not. I was going to wish our Commissioner Wright a happy birthday, and I did that, so.
Thank you.
I'm set.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Joanne, please call the vote.
Commissioner Ernst?
Yes.
Commissioner Engel?
Yes.
Commissioner Rollins?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogelsang?
Yes.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Meeting
Motion
adjourned.
passes.
Okay, party.